All right. Welcome to another expert interview. I start them all the same way. I'm always blessed with the guests that I get to talk to. We get the most amazing people. We get to have the best conversations. I've really been looking forward to this conversation with Peter. We've had so many fun side conversations. We've been able to spend time together at a mastermind. We trade emails. And I'm just so excited, brother, to have you here. So why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, man, I'm excited too, man. We always have fun, so we'll have a lot of fun on this call too. Peter Awad, living in Southern California right now, by way of Iowa, by way of Orlando, Florida, which is a story for another day. Married 21 years, 4 kids, and I'm a coach to Christian business leaders. And so help unlock their calling and their identity and help them build systems and processes around what they do so that they can have real habit change, real transformation. And so we deal in a lot in the inspiration space to get people inspired to make some changes, but we really are focused on transformation. It's leveling up and breaking through a ceiling that you know is there, but you can't figure out how to get through it. That's what we do.
Let's go backward. I think your story is super relevant to why you're doing this. And I know when we met and you connected those dots for me, I thought it made a lot of sense. So, Peter, why is this what you're doing? Like, how did you end up serving this purpose?
Yeah. It's years and years, likely decades of feeling like a square peg. And so the backstory, and I'll keep it really short, is grew up with immigrant parents they're from Egypt, grew up working in a grocery store. And so like Gary and I were talking sandwiches earlier. Sandwiches are my love language because I grew up in a sandwich shop, basically. It's like a country grocery store. Started working when I was 7, and a lot of people think, oh, that must have been rough. I'm like, no, I loved it. I loved business. I think to me, it was like fascinating that my dad could buy a can of soup for 40 cents and sell it for $1. I'm like, this is incredible. And so I loved business, but the dream for them, for us, and I said that specifically, right? The dream for them, for us, was that we get a respectable career. And so I got an engineering degree. My brother's an engineer. My sister's an optometrist. That was the dream. But in college, working internships, I'm like, man, I'm not cut out for this. And so I started my first business, and it was an e-com business back in 2000. And for the young people the internet was around then and we were doing fun things still. And so that was like my foray into being like, oh no, this is what I'm cut out to do. Not realizing though that I was working on what I was good at, but not what I was great at. Business was my thing, but the way that I was expressing it was just like, hey, it was numbers and it was like logistics and it was process. And that was my engineering mind kicking in. But it's not where I want to sit. It's not what I'm excited about. And I didn't really understand it, but every couple of years, and so I met my now wife when I was starting that first business, every couple of years I'd have this crisis. And around 2020, my wife's like, dude, this is like a trend for you. Like you start lamenting, like, man, I feel like I'm cut out for something different, something greater. And it wasn't greater like ego. It was greater like something more impactful. And I just didn't know what it was. And so a year before that, I was sitting having barbecue with a friend in Austin, and he's, oh man, you got to answer 3 questions and you'll be on your path to purpose. What are your superpowers? What do you want the work to look like? What do you want the incentives to be? He's like, simple, not easy, but simple. 3 simple questions. Answer those, you'll be on your path. And I'm like, superpowers, what the heck are those? I don't know. And so when I hired this coach in 2020, because I was lamenting with my wife, she's like, you got to do something about this. This is being a little ridiculous here. That's going on this long. I'm like, hey, let's just work on superpowers, man. What was I put on this earth to do? What am I uniquely gifted at? I don't even know. And after months and months of working with him, we teased the superpowers out. And it's really interesting, Devin, because I was immediately depressed. You think I'd be excited because I checked one of the 3 boxes? I wasn't, because it felt, this is like Peter's a nice person and he makes friends everywhere. What is this crap? There's nothing, I can't do anything with this. And he said to me, oh, you don't get to know that yet. You need to pray and meditate on what these are. He goes, and just your reticular activation system is going to kick in. And just like that red Jeep that you want to buy, all of a sudden everybody's driving red Jeeps. He's like, no, they're not. You just started noticing them. And so those superpowers, I started to see connections, and it's, oh, wait, what about this? What about that? And I started asking people. And it was really cool, man. And I'll shut up here in a second. This was the first time, and this is what I do every time I have a new idea. I run it by all the people that I think are going to shoot me straight, and I've got some knowledge in that area that will tell me how dumb the idea is or the poke holes in it. This is the first time in my life where they're like, oh yeah, no, this is you. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, One of the guys was like, "You've been coaching me for 7 years." I'm like, "I don't know. I think you're dense, dude." I said, "I'm going to think about doing it." He's like, "No, you've been doing it." And then he starts outlining, "No, listen, he's like, let's audit every conversation we've had for the last 7 years. You've been coaching me the whole time, dude. You just didn't know." And so that's when the lights came on. It's like, wow, this is something I need to explore. And so it's something that is exciting for me because it's like, I get to help people live out their calling by living out mine. And that's what we all do, dude. If we're in the pocket doing what we're supposed to do, then we get to unlock other people. And it's this 1+1 = 3 scenario, which is a beautiful thing.
I love that. And I love that. It's why I asked, and I know you riffed on it, which is perfect because I think that there's so much importance in the fact that you're not meeting people from a place of theory or reading a book. You're helping people because you too have walked the path and are walking the path, right? And so you're able to really lean in and say, "Oh, I remember feeling exactly what you just said. I did that activity and this is what it felt like for me. And this is what I had to do to get the feedback I needed to really lean in." And so I think it's important for people to hear that because in the coaching world, we've all come into coaches that sell a great game and make it all seem good. But when you start looking behind the curtain, it's you're not doing anything and you haven't experienced anything that you're teaching.
Yeah. The example I always use, man, and there's just one quick tidbit. When I discovered coaching, I was really bummed because I'm like, how did I miss this? And then I realized, oh, I missed it because I don't like coaches. And I don't like coaches for exactly what you just said. It's like, well, you haven't done the thing. And this is like not to pick on a certain people group, but it's, man, if you had someone that was extremely out of shape telling you how to get in shape, you'd be like, what? I don't think so. I don't know that I'm going to listen to you. Coaches are the same way. It's, wait a minute, you're talking to me about something you've never felt? I don't think so, man. No way. How do I? You're not legitimate. You don't even know what it feels like. You're going to talk to me about theory about paying payroll when you've never felt what it's like to be Friday and out of money and you can't make payroll? I don't think you can teach me that, man.
Yeah, I think we needed to go there for a second. So let's talk about it. I know you're doing these really amazing live events. First, let's talk about what are you covering at those live events? Because maybe someone here wants to lean in with you that way. So when's let's not quote a date, but you got one coming up. What are you going to cover? What's inside your live event content wise?
Yeah, man. So it's called Faith Driven Leadership Live. And we focus on the Christian leadership space, predominantly men, but we're also coaching women. We've got a new cohort that just launched for that. And it's predominantly men, not because I wanted to exclude, but because I want to be as authentic as possible with what I've experienced, which is leadership as a male, right? And realizing like there is a huge demand on the female side too, and we've got something to offer. But during that event, they're learning about the whys and what we're calling the broad road of leadership versus the narrow road of leadership to pull in biblical principles and biblical parables. But it's like, this is what the world's telling you that you need to do as a leader. This is how they're telling you to act. This is how they're telling you to lead. And then here's all the stats to support the fact that it's not working. Like, leaders are more stressed now in 2025 to date this video than they were last year. We've got more access to content than ever in the history of the world. Does that mean that the content and the strategies are working? Nope, they're not working. And so we talk about that, and we're really, for us, it's a way to frame it to be like, hey, I know you've read all these things, and I know this is what the gurus say, but here's all the facts to support this does not work. And oh, by the way, it's not steeped in biblical principles, and we talk about how they go against those things. When then we focus on the narrow road, and hey, this is how it's different. These are the biblical principles to back those things up. And then on day 2, I go into a decent amount of teaching. Hey, here are some examples of things that you could be doing as a leader to unlock yourself and then to unlock others. And the reason I say those two things is because, and I just had a call yesterday about someone saying, hey, I need a bunch of better leaders around me. I'm like, yeah, but what about you? How are you doing? And again, it goes back to the example of the trainer. It's, wait a minute, you want a bunch of healthy leaders around you, but you're not healthy? I don't know, dude. I don't think that's going to work. Something tells me that's not, and data supports that it's not, right? Leaders define culture. And if we got a culture of poor leadership, a lot of times it's because the leader's not a great leader. And so just working through that and giving them tools, because for me, I want them to understand from a high level of why it's important, but I also want you to walk with tools that you can deploy that afternoon. And so that's what we focus on. And then we talk about what it's like to work with us in our 12-week program, if that's interesting to people, but we do that at the end. If it's not interesting, you could drop off. But that's what the event is. And then the third day, we have a bonus day where we bring in my buddy Zach, who's just a marketing whiz, and he could talk through just a lot of, from a biblical perspective, marketing strategies that can help grow your business just as a bonus.
Love that. So let's get to the tool part. Let's really find some value here. So if someone resonates this far with where we're at, they're feeling stuck in their leadership, and I want you to hold the mirror up for them, right? What are some tools or first steps or things we can do right now today listening to this? Can't hear you.
Sorry about that. There's one in particular that's really important. There's actually two that we can touch on if we have enough time. One is this tool called Support Challenge that we teach. And Support Challenge is this idea of bringing high support and high challenge to a situation, to a team member. And we call that a liberating leader. And the reason that's important is because a lot of leaders, they either know how to bring some decent amount of support or a decent amount of challenge, but not both. Now, hard charging leaders can bring domination and challenge, and they don't know how to bring the support. They're like, hey, Devin, dude, just throw him in the deep end of the pool. He'll figure it out. He's smart. Sink or swim, baby. These are the deadlines. Figure it out. That's what I hired you for. Now, the people that have worked around those, they don't get anything like them. And so they become protectors is what we call them. They bring a lot of support, but no challenge. Real fluffy deadlines, real lackadaisical. Oh, you missed the Friday deadline. That's okay. How about Monday? But in the back of their mind, they're like, this is not okay. Devin keeps missing Friday deadlines. I'm going to get it done over the weekend. Then you come in on Monday and your work's done for you. That's a protector. They don't know how to have effective challenge. They don't know how to call you up, as we call it. A really healthy, liberating leader knows how to bring calibrated support and challenge to that person that's around them. They know how to have the hard conversations, but in a way that's loving, in a way that's kind, in a way that tells you like, hey, dude, I see something in you don't see in yourself. You're missing Friday deadlines. What's this all about? Is there something that you need from us in order to meet them? Did I not communicate effectively to you as a leader to let you know that Fridays are important? Because we're not going to miss them anymore. So if you need something, let me know. But we're noticing Fridays are it's a non-starter for you to keep missing them. And we're going to call you up. And a lot of times, the majority of employees that I've worked with, they will rise. They'll rise. Or they'll fall to the level of your standards, right? So a lot of times you'll say, hey, dude, this is not okay. What do you need? And it's funny because a lot of our clients, they'll have these conversations they've been dreading. And the employee that they have the conversation with thanks them. Why? Why do they do that? If you look back in the rearview mirror, and I just did this with a group yesterday, and they're doing a timeline exercise, and they're plotting people that are liberators in their life, who was it? Oh, it was this coach that believed in me. It was this boss that would not accept what the standard I was giving him. He wanted me to be better. She wanted me to be better. And these are the people that they're plotting in liberate category. They're the people that you just want to be near. You just want to be better when you're around them. They're that teacher for the class that you didn't even enjoy, that you still showed up on time and did the work with excellence because you just wanted to impress them, because you knew that they believed in you. And so that's a liberating leader. That's an actual tool. And the thing is, that's something you can carry with you as a leader for the rest of your life. And it's not just at work. Like you could take that into your community. You could take it into your home. And you can call people up in your home. You can be a liberator in your home. It's a powerful tool, man. And it's crazy because a lot of leaders I work with, even though they're hard chargers, they're like overly kind and they become protectors. And they're like, man, I just can't seem to get out of my team what I feel like is the latent potential in them. A lot of times it's this. It's, did you communicate the standard? Did you make it explicit? Are you following up? Do they know it's not okay to miss? No, I just don't want to ride their ass. No, that's BS. You're being soft because you're worried about looking like that guy you worked for that's a jerk, and you don't need to. You need to let your team know, hey, dude, I'm for you. This is not okay. How do we be better? Let's be better together. And it's a totally different conversation. And all of a sudden, stuff will start clicking. And all of a sudden, you're getting all this potential out of the workforce you already have there. Devin, what's your largest expense line item on the business? Payroll, what a horrible steward of resources to have all of that investment and you're not even getting the output. You're not getting the ROI you should have. And oh, by the way, you're harboring slackers, right? You're like literally like incubating slackers. So you're doing yourself a disservice, the business a disservice, and you're doing them a disservice.
I want people, I think they should go back and listen just for language, because there's so many little nuggets in there for how to have that conversation, how to be loving but firm. Like there's a lot of nuggets there. I want to pivot for a second. I want to talk about the people that are feeling stuck. So whether they're the business owner that feels like they built something that's not what they wanted, whether they're in a position that doesn't feel right, an industry that doesn't feel right, they're just sitting there going, I feel like I'm meant for more, but they don't know what the heck that means. What's an activity or thought process that you could give them?
Yeah. The three questions I posed earlier are a great place to start. The other place that I'd like to go, and I've done this for 15 years now, when someone's bringing me an idea or the business they're working on, I almost always follow up with this question, Devin. I'm like, why you? Why are you working on this? And they're like miffed. What do you mean? It's a great idea. I'm like, oh, I don't care about the idea. Why you? Why are you the guy? Why are you the gal? Why this project? Why this time? Who cares about this? And it's so fascinating. If you ask yourself that question and you're being brutally honest, you'll realize, oh, I was just chasing the money. I thought it'd make me famous. I thought people would admire me if I worked on this. Like all these reasons that are really super empty. And then you start to think about, man, what lights you up? What won't you shut up about? You know, what's the joke about vegans and people that go to CrossFit or anything, right? You don't have to ask them, they'll tell you. You don't have to ask anybody if they're going to CrossFit. They're like, they'll tell you about CrossFit. They won't shut up about CrossFit. Like those sorts of things. What won't you shut up about? What are you talking about when nobody's paying you? Is there something there? And maybe not everybody can live out their interests in their business. That's not for everyone. But I think it's more often than not possible. And we just haven't taken the time to be like, just zoom out for a minute, man. Like, whiteboard this thing. What could you do if nothing was off the table? What would you do? Would it be this? Or would it be something totally different?
Let's talk about accountability. I thought we had a good offline pre-recorded moment. I want to circle back to that. So when it comes to accountability, because I think that is probably with the people you're working with and is there then working with the next group of people that they're bringing up, accountability is a key part of this equation. So what's your comments on accountability or some tools around that?
Yeah. So what we were talking about earlier, which I'll reiterate here, is that I was just listening to a book yesterday and the day before, and I'm reminded of, we try to willpower our way through things. We try to be like, you know, we're doing accountability, which we do at the end of every session, and then we revisit what you spoke about in the next session. Sometimes people will say, I'm just going to do this. I'm like, really? How? How are you going to do that? You haven't done that for decades, and all of a sudden you're now going to be the person that does the thing. It's possible, but it's unlikely to have sustained effects. Now, if we set up an environment for real habit change, then you're much more likely to reach that. And so some of the stats I was giving you was like this Jay Papasan from Gary Keller Williams and the book, The One Thing, talks about 66 days to habit change. And then you and I were talking about, hey, when do people usually drop off on coaching? It's about 8 weeks. When do people drop off on their New Year's resolutions? It's around week 3 of February. So it's like they're real close to turning the corner. They're so close to new habit change. And that's when it gets the hardest. And then that's when they fall off. And it's for us, it's setting up systems that support the habit change you want to have. And so the joke that I had was like, hey, you've been eating the cookies. The cookies are on your desk. You've been eating the cookies every day. And you're like, oh, I'm just going to be the guy that doesn't eat the cookies anymore. Maybe. But what if you take the cookies off the desk? But what if you throw the cookies out of the house? Are you more likely to experience that change? Yeah. And so for us, it's about committing to something out loud, publicly within the group, where people are going to notice and you're going to commit to change. Hey, I'm going to do this by this date. This is who's going to notice. And then we're checking in, and you know that we're checking in, and you're reporting back, and you're creating an environment where you're more likely to succeed. It's like the whole adage of setting your shoes by the door the night before. You're much more likely to lace up and actually do the thing. Setting your clothes by the bed, like, hey, I'm going to put my gym shorts on in the morning. Boom, I'm going to do that. My family makes fun of me because literally at night laying in bed, I will audibly, like a crazy person, rehearse, like, all right, I'm going to get up. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to lace up. I'm going to, out loud. Why do I do that? Partly it's because I'm actually nuts. But the other part is that I want to remind myself, like, hey, dude, this is what you're doing in the morning. Don't just wake up and be like, oh, what am I doing today? I don't know. I talk to kids about it all the time. We don't do that. We don't let life happen to us. We set the stage. Am I always successful? Absolutely not. Am I more successful than if I didn't do it at all? 100%. And so that's how, like, through accountability, through habit change, through setting up an environment, not through willpower, not solely through willpower, but through actually setting up an environment that's going to support that change, is how we actually implement a new standard, a new normal.
Gary's got a couple of questions he share. I'm going to ask him because two of them I really like. One of them, he's got a question. Can you share some strategies for men to adapt to current climate that we live in and overall pressures that men are feeling? I'd love to have some commentary on that because it's a very important topic.
Yeah. And when you say pressures, outline a couple that are coming to mind for you specifically.
Yeah, ones I hear all the time is this, again, I give it up my own. You got to harbor their emotions, right? Like you can't, as a male, you have to be the leader and the fighter. So emotions are something to avoid. You've got to be the one doing everything. And I think this will go to Gary's second question, which is what do you do when you struggle to delegate because you're a do-it-all? And so I feel like as men, we probably wear some of that too. So there's a couple that come to mind.
Yeah. The harboring thing is a super interesting one because I think I told you before, like we started a men's prayer group Bible study, 6 a.m. at the pier. It's almost 3 years now going in. So tomorrow we'll meet again. And the overlying theme from people that show up for the first time is they'll say something like, you know what? I'm so glad that you guys are just as screwed up as I am, if not more. It's a joke, but what do they mean? It's, whoa, you guys are sharing stuff that I've never heard men share before publicly. You don't even know half these people and you don't care. And vulnerability is a word that I feel like is way overused, but really it's about being authentic and sharing the real crap, right? Because when we walk around like you're talking about like harboring it all, and when everybody's doing that, internally you're like, I'm not sharing that. Everybody else is buttoned up. I'm the only one losing it over here, which is a lie. It's not true. I don't know a single person that's arrived. Nobody. Good friend of mine building a $65 million house over here. Literally $65 million. Is his life buttoned up? No. We're all a mess. We're all a mess. And the thing's not that we want to cry in each other's beer all the time. It's more so, hey, dude, I got these things figured out. I'm killing it. Over here, disaster. What do I do? I don't know. You see me, every time you've ever seen me, Devin, I got this yoke tat on, and it's a biblical reference to Matthew, right? Yoke is easy, burden is light, right? Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, like all of that. I'm not going to get into all that right now. We don't have enough time, but the whole idea is that we cannot carry the weight. We can't carry by ourselves. We can't do it. Some of the phrases I hate, self-made man, hate it. What do you mean self-made? How? You birthed yourself? You came out of your own womb? I don't think so. Your business runs in a silo. You got no customers. This is the stupidest thing ever. Self-made is so dumb. And it's like, we literally can't do it, but also it's like, we can't carry the weight. And so if we're being honest, hey, this is what's working. I can help you here. Over here, I'm a mess. Who can help me with this? And then we start working together. Bro, we go so much faster, so much farther. And oh, by the way, we can have more fun. And we don't have to hide the fact that some of the stuff we're just screwing up. I got 4 kids, 17 down to 10. And one of my favorite things is when they come to me with a question and I say, I got no idea. They're like, what do you mean? Dad, can I do this? I'm like, I don't know. You know how they say, this is not my first rodeo? This is my first rodeo. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And then let's shape this thing together. Let's figure it out. Maybe it's yes, maybe it's no. I have no idea. And that's the truth. That's the truth. And so if we were walking around like that, we call it nothing to hide, nothing to prove, nothing to lose. We walk around like that, we can get some real stuff done. versus posturing and acting like we know everything. We don't know anything. We know a lot about very little. Come on, let's be real. And so that to me is like that, all of that. It's funny because I have an allergy to folks that communicate like that. And it's like I'm a jokester. We've had a lot of laughter together, Devin and I. I'm a pain in the ass, but like I'll break people down. And not that I want to make them cry. I'm just like, I'm trying to poke holes and be like, come on, dude, we know this is not real. Let's talk about real stuff. I don't want to talk about surface level stuff. That's not fun. You don't want to talk about sports and video games. You go talk about that somebody else. Let's talk about real things here. That's more fun because we make progress with that versus talking about the weather and all the surface level stuff. It's not cool. So that to me is, hey, let's just get over the fact that we don't have it figured out so that we can actually do some real work here. That's my very long answer to your extremely short question.
And we're gonna throw the humor too, because you just click the car run it between events. And, man, we laughed really hard. Like it actually hurt a little bit. Talk to me about on that train of thought you were just on. I want to go a level deeper because we're here talking to faith-based leaders. That's who you're serving. That's your purpose. Do we find that not only as a male you're protecting and hiding and putting on the facade and the armor, but do you find that there's another layer in there where it's even harder to lean in and have these open conversations about faith and integrating faith into your business, into your life, and being outward with, hey, I'm walking this. But let's pull faith into this equation because I have a feeling there's some more barriers there that you're seeing people hit.
No, bro. I was just talking with actually a friend of ours, Chris Baden, just before this call. And I was talking to him about, because he's got this automation for social media and stuff. And I was like, dude, the amount of vile comments I got on our advertising for Faith Driven Leadership Live, the one we just had, was unbelievable, dude. And this is why people aren't like forthright in their faith, because I just got so much hate. It was insane. And I was bummed because I missed some of the comments till it was like after the event, because I like to poke the bear. I could have had a lot of fun with these comments and like just challenging people with things because I'd like to do that. And so I think that it's a little bit, in some ways, easier than it has been because a lot of celebrities now are coming out with their faith and being more outspoken in their faith. So that's a little bit easier. But it's also, especially like from a Christian perspective, we've not done things very well. We've done some really bad things. And people remember that. I got a friend of mine he's a believer. And he's like, dude, I don't even do business with Christians anymore. I've been stabbed in the back so much by people of faith. Some of the worst people I've ever met are the people of our faith. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. And so that makes it harder. What's cool for me is like learning how to love people first, because that's what we're called to do. To me, it makes it a lot easier. And then to be able to walk in their shoes for a minute and be like, dude, I can see how you'd have that sort of attitude. I get it. If I walked a day in those shoes, I'd probably have the same attitude too. I get it. And it's disarming. It's like completely confusing to people. So I love having those conversations. I think it takes a certain personality, but I also think it takes evidence. Like we all need evidence that things work, but you don't get evidence until you try things that are hard. And then you start to stack evidence and you're like, okay, wasn't so bad. That was a little bit of a sweaty conversation, but we got through it. It was fine. And that's the only way we're going to have breakthrough, right? That's the only way we're going to have influence and impact is by stepping out. And like the story of Peter walking on water and Jesus is calling him out of the boat. And my joke was always like, he didn't get to know. He didn't get to know if he was going to drown. He might have drowned, right? He didn't know. The only way he got to know that he's going to be able to walk on water was stepping out of the boat first. And that's faith. And it's, man, we just got to step out of the boat over and over again to have that evidence to be like, all right, I didn't drown. Scary as hell. Don't get me wrong. Scary as hell. But I didn't drown. I didn't die. And you got to stack all this evidence in the did not die column to be like, all right, I'm going to be okay.
Let's talk about trust. Gary, give me another question. I like this one too. He's just like crushing it in the chat right now. So there's a problem with trust in the world. How do we earn trust? I think that's such an interesting question.
Yeah. So this is another tool. These tools I utilize are developed by a buddy of mine named Jeremy Kubicek from a company called Giant. And this one's called Influence Model. And they talk about trust. It's got 4 ingredients: character, chemistry, competency, and credibility. And you need those 4 ingredients in order to build trust. And what does it mean? So, is this person competent? Do they know what they're talking about? Are they credible? Can they take that competency and apply it to my specific situation? Are they of good character, right? Do I trust in their character? Are they a good person? And do they have good chemistry? Do I like them? Do I want to hang out with them? And it's those 4 components that you can build trust, and you can bring down their self-preservation wall. Because on the other side of that wall is influence and impact. Relationship, influence, impact. What's cool about the tool is if you're paying attention, you can see how people lean. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Some people are heavier on character chemistry. Do I like Devin? Do I want to hang out with him? Do I think he's a good person? Yeah, maybe not. I care about that first, and then I'll figure out if he's smart or not. Some people are like, I don't care if I like him yet. Does he know what he's talking about? Can he apply it to my situation? And then I'll see if I like him. And if you're paying attention in conversations, you can very quickly, if somebody's talking about their kids, their dog, sports, right? We're talking about how they feel, the vacation they went on, character chemistry. If they lead with spreadsheets, they're talking about knowledge, they're talking about facts, science, books they read, competency, credibility. And so you want to lean, you're going to over-index there, and you can back into. Now, when you get it wrong is when you get it out of order. And so an example I have is an acquaintance of mine, literal billionaire, is getting introduced to someone who's got a startup that's looking for investment. He's not paying attention. Literal billionaire's character chemistry. Startup guy's competency, credibility. So immediately shakes hands, sits down, opens laptop, showing spreadsheets. Literal billionaire crosses his arms, feels dead. Because for him, it was like, I don't even know if I like you yet, dude. I don't know anything about you. Talk to me about your business. I care about your stupid business. I don't know if I like you yet. But if you're paying attention, you can index there, back into the other 2. And that's a kind of a mathematical, formulaic way to build trust. And so for somebody who has a hard time building trust, it's best to break it down into little ingredients, and then you can wrap your mind around it. And you can work on those things. And then ask yourself this question: where am I strong? Where am I weakest? So if you're weak on chemistry, better go practice. Start talking to people. And Peter, I'm an introvert. That's fine. You're not going to be able to get too far. So you figure out how to fake it. And then you start stacking evidence. And then you'll become a little bit more extroverted introvert. Learn how to build chemistry. If you're not how to share your competency, practice. So ask yourself your weakest and start working on that. Your trust levels will level up tremendously.
I want to talk about, I would show the back of my shirt, but I don't want to turn around. So it's real people, real conversations, real connections. And we use that word real on purpose. And so I want to circle back to humor, because I find that for myself and all of my companies and everything I've ever done, fun is always my first principle. And people always think that's weird. But I find that if we're not enjoying what we're doing, why are we doing it? And I find that's where we get the most authentic, is where the laughing and bonding together is when we have that humor. So talk to me about the importance of humor in your life and in your clients and what you're building.
Yeah. This is not going to apply to everybody in the extent that it applies to me, because I am an odd duck. I love making people laugh. It's like one of my favorite things. I love it. It's so fun. I love comedy. And I think a lot of times I like comedy because they can talk about things that we're not allowed to talk about. They're like, that's not politically correct. So they get like a get out of jail free card, and they get to do it. And we have real talk. And that's where the comedy comes in. It's, dude, can we just be real? This is why you put that it's on right behind you on the backdrop too. It's like, real. Why? Do you want to work with fake people? Work with real people. Do you want to work with people you relate to, or some automaton, robotic sort of transactional person? Nobody wants to work with that person. I don't care how introverted and antisocial you are. You can pick the automaton or real person every time. Real person every time. And how else to cut to the core of that than to have people like laughing together? It breaks down everything, man. It breaks down all the walls and all the barriers. It's just have a good time. You think about some of the best comedians, or you think about Jimmy Fallon, for example. Like, why did he do so well as a host of a show? He laughed at his own jokes. He would fall out of his chair, and you would see him and you would think to yourself, what? Oh, he's a regular guy. He's a regular guy. What does that mean that he's just a regular guy? What's an irregular guy? I don't even know. But when you see someone, you're like, oh, just a regular dude, regular gal, just having a good time. No pretense, joking, food in their teeth, whatever it is, right? That's why I think comedy is so important. And to me, humor is so important, is because it's the most raw sort of version of yourself. Are you going to laugh or are you going to cry? Either one of those. I prefer laughter. Just show just like your humanity. Just real person. No pretense. Doesn't mean you have to be unprofessional, but it's like, hey, can we just have a good time? Doesn't have to be all buttoned up. We can untuck it.
I appreciate that. And like I said, I was reflecting on that car ride we had together. And I do remember we got out and we all just looked at each other and had that. Man, that was the best 25 minutes. It was just so good. It was raw and it was authentic and it was just, yeah, it was good. And we learned a whole lot about everyone that was in the car real quick.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yeah, we did. So it's good.
Chuck, if you have any questions, think about it. Peter, I always like to ask the question, like, what haven't we talked about? What's on your heart or your mind that you want people to hear or know that you just haven't talked about today?
For me, the word I've had, because we've been going through our own coaching, like I eat my own dog food, and I usually have 2 or 3 coaches at a time working on just different avenues in my life. Like I said, things that are killing it, things that aren't killing it. And Melissa and I, my wife and I, went through identity coaching earlier this year, and it was so profound. And one of the words that came to me that it's been front and center is the word enjoy. And that's what I want to leave everybody with today. It's like, we can get the work done. And I like that we ended on humor because this plays right into it. We can get the work done and have no fun. We get the work done and we can miss everything. We can get the work done and not even live a life worth living. Or we're going to have the same impact, probably more, and have a good time. And be living in the present moment. And be appreciating what we already have. One of my favorite phrases is want what you already have. This is it right here. It's all we get right now. Right? And we drop dead in 5 minutes. This is it. This is all we get. And so to enjoy where we're already at and appreciate where we already have and be grateful where we're already at and have fun and joke around and keep it lighter. Doesn't have to be all serious. This is what makes old people old, you guys. This is what old means. All that guys, that lady stuck in her ways, right? Everything's serious. No fun. Like, that sucks. We don't need to live like that. If over here I can have no fun and get it all done, or over here I can have a lot of fun and still get it all done, what the hell? Which one am I choosing? What am I so serious about? Let's have a good time. I just got done telling you guys I like to laugh all the time. And I do. But when I'm not laughing, man, I'm freaking not having a good time. I am just like, I get shit done. I'm a machine. My parents worked 7 days a week for 6 straight years, 6 days a week for 18. I know how to work, bro. I'll outwork anybody. And I'll do it all and not have a damn bit of fun. That's my natural tendency. No fun. It's just reminding myself, like, man, dude, this just doesn't have to be so heavy. Let's have a good time. And I would guess that we actually get more done because we're actually enjoying the work. And I'll leave you with as like a picture, a mental picture, because I'll never forget this. We're living in the Midwest. It is the middle of August. It is hot as hell. It is so hot. It's like 110 degrees. My family's at the pool. They've just sent me back home because that's what dad does, to go pick up something they forgot. And I come home and my neighbors, I can only see the tops of their heads. They're 6 feet underground, digging their own sewer main, which was illegal, by the way. That's okay, though. They're putting in their own sewer main. Husband, wife, daughter, son, in a freaking hole in August. It's 110 in hell outside, putting in a sewer main of all things. And they're laughing. They're laughing, dude. They're having a good time doing the hard work. I would not have been that guy. I would have been bitching and moaning about what I had to do. And these guys are family and they're together and they're like, hey, this sucks. Isn't this hilarious? And they're digging a hole and I can see the top of their heads and they're cutting in a water main that's full of turds and they're having a good time. That's life. If you're going to have to do the hard work, do the dirty work, You might as well have a good time. So that's what I want to leave everybody with, man. Just enjoy. Just stop and enjoy, man.
That's fun. I'm gonna picture that visual every time I'm not. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Chuck, do you have a question for Peter? Anything top of mind?
Actually, I really don't, Deb, and apologize for jumping on late, but I've really enjoyed listening to the conversation, and I can certainly relate to a lot of the things that have been said, especially as far as being authentic and actually enjoy. That word enjoy is just one that is not me. That's not typical the way that I work each and every day. I got a list of things I have to get done, and I'm going to stay here until it's all done.
Yeah.
My wife, on the other hand, she's the one that kind of pulls me back towards center to try to have that fun and enjoyment along the way. So
Yeah, me too. It's switching the have to the get to. That's always been helpful for me. I don't have to, I get to. I don't have to,
yes,
I get to.
definitely.
Yeah, I get to. Man, I get to. This is awesome. I get to.
I'm telling you, now I'm just gonna picture someone up to their head. Oh, every time. I think that visual is a great reminder of, oh, okay, I can enjoy it. Like I can get the work done, but I can enjoy it too.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. And Chuck, it is always good to see you, man. Peter, how can people lean in and get a hold of you? We mentioned your live event, so obviously check that out. I do promote those in ACES. We'll put that up. Peter does a great job.
Okay.
How else can people engage with you?
Yeah, we've got a resource called Secrets for Leading Biblically. They can go to whitestonecoach.com and get that. If they're on their mobile, they can text Whitestone 2 words to 55444 and also get it that way. Best way to engage, we'll get you on email from there. You'll get some emails from me. We'll tell you what we're up to. I'm just constantly sharing stupid parables like some of the ones I shared today. And I work with word pictures, man. And so I love sharing those things because it'll stick and you'll remember it and you'll take it with you.
Awesome. Peter, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for telling us, one, who you are and being that authentic you, which I always expect. And for all of your wisdom, your nuggets, the language you use, there's a lot here. I appreciate you, brother.
Dude, thanks for having me, Devin. So good, man. Chuck, appreciate you, man.